Rolling.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Fodd, and I will be your security instructor for the day. Everybody motivated? Everybody happy to be here?
Yes.
All right. We are covering radio communications. I know what you're thinking. Come on, Jim. Communications? I know how to communicate. I communicate every day. I have a phone, I have a cell phone, Facebook, Twitter. I can communicate. Well, there's certain types of communication in the nuclear industry that are required, and it's different from everyday life. Can anybody give me an example?
Three-way communication.
Three-way communication. Anything else?
Phonetic alphabet.
Phonetic alphabet, very good. Standards and expectations of this morning's training class. Punctuality. Everybody was on time this morning. I'm very happy, good to go. When you have your breaks, do me the courtesy, do your fellow students the courtesy of being on time with breaks. Housekeeping. Leave your areas just as clean as they were when you got here, if not cleaner. And cell phones. Please put your cell phones on vibrate. If you have an emergency at home or you're waiting for an emergency phone call, you can go ahead and put it on vibrate. All right. What will you do when your radio fails? You're a security officer on post. You're walking your fence line, you're doing your tour. You hear an explosion in the background. Bullets are flying, they're impacting next to you. You take cover, you grab your radio because you want to call CAS, you want to let them know about this, but all you're getting is white noise on the radio. What are you going to do? Well, hopefully, when you're done with this training, you'll know exactly what to do. This course will cover the use of security communications at the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant, as well as teach you how to communicate with your fellow security officers as well as station personnel. Security officers will be evaluated by job performance measures. Before you're allowed to work shift, you will have to demonstrate radio communications using three-part communication, as well as conduct testing on security communications equipment. Operating experience. Duane Arnold Energy Center. A security officer at this plant was performing gate duties. When he was done performing gate duties, the alarm station operator told him the gate was closing, but they didn't use three-part communication. The security officer never confirmed that the gate was closing. Needless to say, the gate closed on him and he was taken away in an ambulance. So, failure to use proper communication can get you hurt and can get you taken away in an ambulance. Safety moment. If you look at the handouts I gave you, you have the phonetic alphabet on one side, and you have a picture of the radio we use on the other side. All of our security officers are issued a tactical vest. They have many pouches on them. A lot of security officers like to put the radios towards the top of the pouch so they can just reach over, press the button, and communicate. Security officer wasn't paying attention when they were putting on their vest, looked down, poked themselves in the eye with the antenna. So just be cognizant of the fact that that antenna, if improperly placed, can poke you in the eye. Terminal objectives. While posted on duty, the security force member will use effective communications and proper operation of the radio system in accordance with Pilgrim Security Procedure 7.01. Upon completion of this lesson, the training will be able to identify communication systems available to the security force, state the radio channels available to the security force, list two characteristics of good communications, state when communications equipment is required to be tested, given a letter, state the corresponding identifier used in the phonetic alphabet, and demonstrate three-part communication. This black Motorola radio here, this will be your primary radio. Each of you will be issued this radio. You'll be required to turn it into the armory at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, you'll get the radio with a fresh charged battery. This is your radio. The security force is channel 1. Fire brigade is channel 2. On the top, you have two knobs. The first knob on the left turns the power on. The second knob is the channel indicator. All these buttons over here are non-programmed. They will not work. Transmit button is on the side. The transmit button is on the side. After you turn the radio on, press the button, you'll hear a beep. When the beep's done, it will indicate that you can go ahead and start speaking. The backup radio is your Midland radio over here on the left. The channel for that is channel 5. The radios are preset, but if you turn it on and it's not on channel 5, you have the buttons in the front, the arrow button up and down. Those will change the channels. Other types of communications. Can anybody give me an example at their plant what types of communications they use?
So, intercom.
Intercom, Gatronics,
Telephone.
satellite phones, telephones. As a security officer at Pilgrim Station, your backup form of communications, you have the primary radio, you have your backup radio. When you hear that white noise on the radio when the enemy attacks, be it Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, North Korea, Democrats, you go to your backup radio. If that's not working and you're in a position, you have Gatronics. You have to be in the plant to use the Gatronics. The Gatronics are located on site all around the plant.
So will we be issued a backup radio also?
The backup radios, that's a good question. The backup radios will not be issued to you. They are on post. So when you relieve your relief, part of the equipment that you're signing for is that backup radio. Another form of communication is your telephone. There's a telephone at every post. And last but not least, runners. If I can't get a hold of you on your radio, your backup radio, the Gatronics, or a telephone, I'm going to send somebody out to find you. Likewise, if you can't communicate with the alarm stations, you try to grab another security officer with you. Most of you will be in pairs, and that person can relay the communication on foot. Each security officer on patrol must be capable of maintaining continuous communications with CAS and SAS. So you're on patrol, you're walking your fence line, so you're out in the field. You have to have a radio that can communicate with the alarm station. So before you go out on patrol, you will do a radio check to make sure the battery is still charged. If you're at a sitting post, a BRE, response room, if your radio doesn't work, you're okay as long as you have a phone in the area that works. And all the posts have a phone. So once you get relieved from that post, it will be your responsibility to go ahead and go get a new battery for your radio. Characteristics of good communications are brevity and clarity. Be brief and be clear. Radio transmissions must be limited to official business. Grand Gulf Nuclear Power Plant, their security officers must call the alarm station and request permission to talk to another security officer on the radio because one of their security officers decided to transmit a football game over the radio system, thus locking down the channel. So, corrective action, from now on, at that site, you need to ask permission from the alarm station operator before you can communicate. It's not that way here yet, just use professional radio communications. Know what you're going to say before you say it. This will help you not stutter on the radio. Listen before keying the microphone. You do not want to step on anybody. Maybe there's another transmission going on. So, grab your radio. If there's nothing going on, then go ahead and transmit. Don't hold the microphone too close to your mouth. Too close, it's going to come out muffled. Too far away, they might not hear you. Telephone characteristics. Telephone plays an important part in communication to the plant. You want to be professional at all times. Russ, can you give me an example of what not to say when you answer the phone?
What's up?
What's up? I've had that happen before. That usually follows by a lot of coaching. Be professional. Jerry, can you give me an example of what to say when you answer the phone?
Trail Road, Jerry Thomas.
Perfect, excellent, professional. Testing the security communications equipment on your portable radio. When you assume your post, you do a radio check with the alarm station. That is your test. Following that, it's once an hour. Base radios, they're at the primary gate and the alarm stations. They get tested at the beginning of each shift, as well as the Gatronics and the landlines. So the shift starts at 06. Security officers at those posts will test those equipment. Anything doesn't work, you're going to notify the SAS supervisor. They have a checklist up there. They will keep logs of what does and does not work and report it up the chain. Phonetic alphabet will be used when alphanumeric information is being communicated. Can anybody give me an example of the phonetic alphabet?
A alpha.
A alpha. All right, class participation. Everybody has a handout. On the back of the handout is the phonetic alphabet. I'm going to go around the room from left to right. Give me your name and spell it using the phonetic alphabet. I will go first. Jim, Juliet, India, Mike.
Next, okay, Russ. Romeo, uniform, Sierra, Sierra.
Jerry, Juliet, Echo, Romeo, Romeo, Yankee.
Alan, Alpha, Lima, Lima, Echo, Hotel.
Matt, Mike, Alpha, Tango, Tango.
Chad, Charlie, Hotel, Alpha, Delta.
PJ, Papa, Juliet.
All right, good job. That is the phonetic alphabet. Three-part communication shall be used at all times. Three-way communication ensures the exchange of ideas. The sender provides the information, the receiver repeats the information, and then the sender acknowledges the information. So if I was to say, class, let's take a break, you would say, I understand, take a break. I would say that is correct, take a break. Class participation. There's 6 of you, 2 at each table. I want you to take turns using three-part communication, send a message using three-part communication. Go ahead.
You drinking a Coke? Let's go have a beer tonight. That is correct. Drinking a Coke. Have a beer tonight.
That's correct.
I understand you wear glasses. I don't drink all three.
I understand you don't drink. Correct.
Does anybody have any questions about three-part communication?
That was a good comeback.
Three-part communication, as well as the phonetic alphabet, will be used at all times when transmitting information over the radio or the phone or in person if necessary. Summary. Okay, let's summarize this. What are the communications equipment available to the security force? Anybody?
Radios.
Radios,
Phone,
phones, runner,
Electronic.
Electronics. What channel is the security force on?
one,
Channel 1. How about the fire brigade?
2,
Channel 2. What are 2 characteristics of good radio communications?
brief,
Brief,
clear.
clear. Freeway communication is good, but brief and clear. Brevity and clarity. When are the handheld radios required to be tested?
Every hour. Start of
Before
each
shift.
shift.
Take over the post.
Start of each shift.
Taken over the post and every hour. And everything else, landlines, base radios, and Gatronics, when do we test those?
Start of shift.
Start of each shift. We start the shift at 06, night shift starts at 1800. When are the phonetic alphabet and three-part communication used?
Always.
Always. That concludes today's lesson. Do I have any questions?
You have a little bit of time left,
How much?
5 minutes.
Can I have it?
No. So, Plus and Delta on yourself, how'd that go? What's different from the last couple of days?
I changed a couple of things based on other people's PowerPoints. Some stuff I liked better. So I went home and I modeled mine after that. I stole a few people's stuff.
I saw some of that. I liked your graphics, and you did a couple of different things. Okay, good. Let's have peer feedback. We'll start with Russ.
Okay, I liked your OE, especially the one about, hey, you guys, the poke in the eye one. I thought that was a really good down-home example of what could really happen. And in my Delta, which is also a positive, is, man, you are such a strong presence that I almost feel intimidated. I'm not very easily intimidated, so you might, you might intimidate people. Although when I got an answer wrong, you were very good at how you didn't make me feel like a dummy. Not a smart person. My thoughts.
Again, I thought you did an excellent job. I was thinking as as you went through the brevity and clarity that you mentioned, a video that just came to mind is a commercial. You know, they have this commercial instead of and or. You know, it's good that you could have and versus or. So, like if it was loud or clear on the car commercial, you know, they had where the guy was just standing there real loud and he was speaking out real loud and nobody could understand it. Brevity and clarity. It's good to have the and because you can't have one without the other and be effective.
I thought you did a good job. I really didn't have any deltas. Just for the record, you don't intimidate me.
That's good, it's not my intention.
Good job. I thought you did well.
Nothing new from the last 2 days when I talked to you gentlemen. You got a good presence up there, and you'll have no problem, so good job.
Yeah, great presentation, and your voice, it will keep people awake. The way you present it, I don't see anybody ever fall asleep in your class. The only thing being a security guard, trigger finger, gotta keep that finger off the button.
True.
I like the fact that you stayed in the center of the room design. I think it was more effective than you were here. I gave you that feedback yesterday to not be in the corner, stay more in the center. I think that really, it just puts you in a better command position. And the one delta I'll give you was when, and not to point out you, Alan, but when Alan spelled his name with the phonetic alphabet, he said Alpha Lima Lima Echo Hotel. That was
Yep, I
correct.
did catch
He
that.
did.
So
He
yeah,
did.
that's part of making sure that you teach properly.
I didn't want to point that out in the middle of the class and make anybody feel bad. That's something that I would have talked to him later about.
Okay.
There you go, good recovery.
I'll echo all of that. I didn't hear much of your self-intro of credibility. You know, a couple of you guys haven't really said what your history is and all that kind of stuff, why you're the guy, you know, to be presenting this information. So think about that. It might seem kind of silly or whatever, but once in a while, you're going to get a new kid in your class and they're going to want to know a little bit more about you. So have that information in your back pocket in case you need it. You know, how many years on the force or you've come from wherever, you know, just to have a little credibility statement. But otherwise, everything was covered and very good job.
Now, would you do that same thing for initial as recall? Because if you're in recall, but people know you.
Well,